Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you here tonight. We are diving into a huge topic that affects your digestion, your bloating, your metabolism, energy, hormones, and overall health. All month this month, we're talking about gut health. And tonight, we are focused on educating you on prebiotics and probiotics. And so, this is going to be a really awesome training. So if you've ever struggled with constant bloating, no matter what you eat, or digestive issues like constipation, diarrhea, or irregularity, or maybe feeling like sluggish and fatigued and mentally foggy, or even uncontrollable sugar cravings, or even difficulty losing weight when we're actually eating healthy. So this training is for you because all of those symptoms tie right back to gut health. And that's why we are honing in on all things gut health over the next few weeks. So what we're going to cover tonight is, first and foremost, how your gut controls your metabolism, your digestion, and your energy. We're going to go over why carbs and fiber are actually critical for a healthy gut and why cutting back on them can backfire. We're going to talk about how antibiotics, stress, and restrictive diets disrupt your gut balance. And you're going to learn the real difference between probiotics and prebiotics and why probiotics alone are not going to fix your gut. You're also going to know, if you actually need a probiotic. You're going to learn some of the biggest mistakes that people make when taking probiotics and how to naturally heal your gut and optimize your digestion with food. At the end of this, you're going to know the exact way to rotate probiotics to restore and balance your gut. And you'll know exactly how to fix your digestion, reduce your bloating, and improve your gut health for good. So I suggest you go grab a notebook. There is going to be a recording of this, but we're going to dive in lots of really great information tonight. So first off, why your gut health controls everything. So your gut is not just about digestion. It is the command center for breaking down and absorbing nutrients, regulating your immune function. Actually, 70% of your immune system is in your gut. It's responsible for balancing your hormones, so it affects estrogen, cortisol, and thyroid and insulin. It controls it has a lot to do with how it controls your metabolism and weight loss. So your gut bacteria determine how effectively you can actually burn fat. And it is also responsible for producing neurotransmitters like serotonin. So I hope you've heard the brain-gut connection, that your gut is like your second brain. It influences your mood, your cravings, your mental clarity, and so much more. And so if our gut is not working properly, for one, you're going to feel bloated, but also exhausted or maybe even completely out of control of your body. So let's talk about some signs of if your gut is out of balance. So frequent bloating or stomach discomfort, constipation or diarrhea, sugar cravings and unstable blood sugar, weakened immunity, so if we're getting sick often, feeling sluggish, foggy, or anxious, or struggling with weight gain, especially in our midsection. But what causes gut imbalances in the first place? Well, number one, antibiotics. So antibiotics kill all bacteria, the good and the bad. And it makes it easier for you to actually get sick again and leading to more antibiotics. And it's just this vicious cycle that just keeps going. And I don't know if you know this, but just one round of antibiotics can actually wipe out your gut bacteria for up to 6 months. It's crazy, right? The second thing that disrupts gut health is chronic stress and poor sleep. You hear me preach this all the time. We gotta get that sleep and stress under control. What it does is it increases cortisol, which actually damages the gut lining and leads to inflammation. So the lining of our gut kind of is like a web, if you will. And when we're inflamed, it actually separates those fibers, leaving holes. And that's where we have leaky gut and some other impermeable, we're not getting the nutrients because it's leaking out into other places. So really not good. We need to get that inflammation down. And also chronic stress and poor sleep, it slows down your digestion. We talked about this in a previous training of that fight or flight. And that can lead to bloating and constipation, and it lowers the production of enzymes that break down your food properly. And the third thing is low carb and restrictive diets. So cutting carbs means cutting fiber, which actually starves your good gut bacteria. And this leads to slower digestion, bloating, and gut imbalances. Low carb diets reduce short chain fatty acids, and that function in itself is critical for that gut lining and for your immune health. And so if you've been eating like low carb for a long time, your gut bacteria could very likely be super riding that struggle bus right now. So, okay, now that we know that, well, how do we fix it, right? Carbs and fiber are the real healers of your gut. And carbs have been demonized for years by the diet culture, right? But they are crucial for your gut health. And so let's talk about some reasons why you should not be afraid of carbs, okay? Carbs actually feed your gut bacteria. They're essential for a very diverse microbiome. Carbs keep the digestion moving. They actually prevent bloating and constipation. Carbs fuel metabolism. So cutting them for too long actually slows down fat burning, right? Like when the keto diet quits working and you try to reintroduce these back in too fast, too soon, then you think it's the carbs that are doing it. But really, it's that your gut has been so messed up for not getting that diversity. And carbs actually help to balance your hormones. So too little fiber and carbs can spike cortisol and disrupt your thyroid function. So what happens when you cut the carbs? Well, gut bacteria die off, digestion slows down, leading to bloating and constipation. You start to feel really drained and sluggish and fatigued, and your metabolism slows down, making our weight loss much harder. And so the solution is to reintroduce fiber-rich carbs to feed that gut bacteria, okay? Another thing I want to say is, like, a lot of times we get stuck in thinking carbs are just bread and pasta and donuts and pizza, right? But we're talking like fruits and veggies, legumes, potatoes. We'll get more into that here in just a minute, but kind of changing your thought process around what carbs are, okay? So before we dive into that, let's talk about what are prebiotics and probiotics, okay? And like what you actually need. So a prebiotic is a food for your gut bacteria. It feeds the gut bacteria. Probiotics are alive bacteria that support gut balance. So most people take probiotics thinking that that's just going to be the fix-all for their digestion, but they don't take them with prebiotics, which is your fiber. And so probiotics will not survive without prebiotics, okay? So we always want to focus on food first, right? We can fix a lot with our nutrition without having to supplement. So the best prebiotic rich and carb fiber foods are whole grains. So things like oats, quinoa, brown rice, and whole wheat. Then you've got nuts and seeds like almonds and flax seeds, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds. Fruits like bananas, apples, berries, pears, kiwi. Vegetables like garlic, onions, leeks, asparagus, and artichokes. And then we've got our legumes like lentils, chickpeas, black beans, kidney beans, those type of things. And the goal is to get at least 30 different fiber sources per week to keep your gut microbiome diverse. I know, you're like, what? How in the hell am I gonna get 30 different fiber sources? And I'm already struggling to get like an average of 7 grams of fiber a day, right? But it's actually a lot easier than you think, okay? So let's break it down. So the reason why this matters is that your gut microbiome is made up of thousands of different strains of bacteria, and each strain thrives on a different type of fiber. So eating the same few foods over and over actually starves certain gut bacteria, leading to bloating, slow digestion, and imbalances. So by increasing the fiber variety, you feed more bacteria, support better digestion, and you can boost your metabolism. So how the hell, like Chelsea, how the hell do I get 30 fiber sources a week? Well, here's a great way to like not overcomplicate it. Okay, we want to keep it simple. So we're going to make simple swaps in foods that you already eat. Okay, so like instead of just spinach, try like mixed greens blend with like arugula and kale, right? So when you go to the store and you get the whole package, like get the mixed greens one, right? So that you're adding in right there. I think the like superfoods blend, there's like 3 or 4 different fiber sources right there in one bag. Instead of brown rice all the time, swap in quinoa or farro once in a while. Instead of doing almonds on a daily, rotate between like walnuts and cashews, pistachios. And instead of blueberries every morning, try throwing in raspberries or pears or kiwi. So each swap adds more fiber variety without like completely overhauling your meals, right? So then we can also like build more fiber into our meals that you already eat. So like for breakfast, right? Like we could have oatmeal with flax seeds and banana and walnuts, right? Maybe some scrambled eggs, avocado, whole wheat toast, right? That's 4, 5, 6, 7 fiber options in just one meal, right? Easy, simple, not easy, simple. And then we have, like lunch and dinner. Let's think like a salad with mixed greens. We got chickpeas. We can throw in some pumpkin seeds and bell peppers. And then, it's Taco Tuesday, so we're going to put in some black beans with whole wheat tortillas and roasted veggies. And then we can stir fry brown rice and, broccoli, sesame seeds, tofu. Like you see how you can kind of just like add it in and it adds that variety to not only your meal, but to your fiber sources. And you can easily get 4 to 5 fiber sources without a ton of extra effort, right? The third tip is to choose like blended foods instead of like single ingredients. So instead of plain oats, mix in flax seeds and chia seeds. Instead of just peanut butter, try a nut butter blend. Instead of regular bread, try like a sprouted grain variety with seeds. So a lot of packaged foods already have like a fiber variety, but just make sure to check those ingredient labels to make sure what you're actually getting, right? And the fourth tip is to use like quick fiber boosters in your meals. So you can sprinkle ground up flax seeds or ground up chia seeds in like your yogurt or your smoothies. You can add nuts and seeds to your salads, your soups, your stir fries. You can throw in beans or lentils to soups, pasta, whole like grain bowls, right? Those type of things. So just a handful of extra ingredients can really help you hit those 30 fiber sources a week and just in turn get that fiber up, that daily fiber average up a little closer to where we want it, right? So keeping it simple. And then, just like rotate 1 to 2 ingredients in meals every few days. Just those small changes can make a really big difference. And then mixing in like different grains, nuts, seeds, and veggies whenever possible. And just make it fun, right? You get to try new fiber-rich food each week. Don't overcomplicate it. Have it be an experiment and just make it fun. So eating for your gut health does not have to be complicated. It's all about variety and balance. So let's get back to the probiotics. So do you actually need a probiotic? That's the biggest question, right? If you're eating enough fiber and carbs, you may not even need a probiotic at all, okay? So I really want to preface this that we want to focus on the food first and really try to solve any of our gut issues with our nutrition before we start throwing any supplementation at it ever, right? But you may need a probiotic if you just finish on a round of antibiotics, or if you have chronic bloating, constipation, or diarrhea. If you get sick a lot and have a weakened immune system, this may be something that we need to take a look at. Or if you've been doing a low carb or keto diet for a long time. So if none of those apply to you, definitely focus on food first and making those adjustments in your diet before anything else. So how do we take probiotics the right way? So this is the biggest mistake that I see happening is a lot of people take probiotics incorrectly and they waste their money without actually seeing any real benefits, often because they start too fast or they take the wrong type at the wrong time. So if you've ever bought a probiotic and thought, well, I don't really feel any different, or it worked at first, but now it doesn't seem to be helping, or I still feel bloated and sluggish even though I take one every single day. Well, that's because probiotics are not a one size all fix, okay? Simply throwing billions of bacteria into your gut without a strategy or starting too aggressively can actually make things worse and lead to more bloating and gas and even more digestive discomfort. So we want to really emphasize starting low and building up gradually. Okay, your gut needs time to adjust to the new bacteria. So the key is to start really, really slow. So beginning with like a low dose around 5 to 10 billion CFUs for the first week. So usually that's like one pill, maybe even every other day to start. And pay attention to how your body reacts. Like, are we having any mild bloating or gas? And that can be normal at first, but really just pay attention to how your body is reacting to it. And if tolerated well, just slowly increase to a higher CFU probiotic over time. Or again, taking, if the bottle calls for 2, slowly working up to that. So for stronger probiotics like spore-based or high CFU blends, take every other day at first to ease it, like I said. Jumping straight into like a high dose probiotic, like something like 50 plus billion CFUs without preparation can really overwhelm your system. It can cause bloating, discomfort, diarrhea. So taking probiotics strategically at the right place is key to actually restoring your gut balance rather than like overloading your system with bacteria that it's just not ready for, right? And I'm going to give you guys a list of these things too, so that you have kind of like a cheat sheet to go off of as well. But one rule is that we never want to take probiotics while on antibiotics because they just cancel each other out. So you're wasting your money. It's not, neither one's doing the job they need to do. So maybe just take your probiotic out and then bring it back in afterwards, right? So antibiotics kill all bacteria, both good and bad, and probiotics add good bacteria. So if you take them together, again, just fighting each other. So we want to wait until you're finished with your course of antibiotics before you start a probiotic. Now, if you still want to protect your gut during antibiotics, take those prebiotics from fiber food to support the gut. Okay, so all those foods we listed before, eating plenty of those and getting lots of variety. And then you want to wait 2 to 3 hours before taking a probiotic if you have to take one. So once antibiotics are finished, then get on the probiotic to kind of rebuild your gut. So the second thing is to start with a high CFU probiotic. So this is like 10 billion CFUs after antibiotics for like 30 to 60 days, okay? So after you are on antibiotics, your gut is wiped out. It needs a strong probiotic to help repopulate the beneficial bacteria. And so when you're looking at supplements, look for a high CFU probiotic, at least 10 to 50. And it should contain multiple strains to repopulate different types of gut bacteria. And we also want to make sure it does not contain any inflammatory, triggering, or allergens. Okay, and it'll say, like soy or casein or nuts, like any of the like allergens. Okay, it'll say allergen free. And so then you're going to take this for about 30 to 60 days before moving to another phase. So again, I'm going to map all this out for you so you have like a little bit of a guide, but think of this phase as like the rebuilding of the foundation of your gut, okay? And then the most important thing is to rotate your probiotic strains every 1 to 2 months, okay? So taking the same probiotic for months or years can actually do the same thing. It causes those gut imbalances. So different probiotic strains serve different purposes, and your gut needs a variety to fully restore and balance. So the reason this is important is that it targets different gut bacteria. It prevents overgrowth of one bacteria. It supports a balanced microbiome instead of overwhelming it. And so here's how we would rotate your probiotics properly. And I'm going to, again, have this in the guide. But phase one for those first 30 to 60 days, that high CFU probiotic, this is restoring the beneficial bacteria that we wiped out by antibiotics, stress, or a poor diet. And when we're looking for a good one, okay, it needs to be at least 10 to 50 billion CFUs. It needs to have multiple strains and be, again, dairy-free if you're sensitive to lactose, or we want to check and make sure it's allergen-free. And so some of the best options is like a VSL3. This particular one, again, there's different brands, but VSL3 is one of the most studied high CFU probiotics out there. It's great for the gut restoration. Then there's the, it's seed something, and I'm going to verify this. I couldn't remember for the life of me, had a brain fart, but high quality multi-strain probiotic. And then Renew Life is also a good one. It's like 50 billion CFUs. High potency multi-strain probiotic. Again, I'm going to list these all in the guide so you have a little bit of a way to do that. But anyway, so we do phase one for 30 to 60 days. Then we want to go more to like a spore-based probiotic. This is going to help strengthen the gut lining and improve your digestion. It reduces that inflammation. Again, no leaky gut type situations. And what makes spore-based probiotics more unique is they actually survive stomach acid better than the regular probiotics, and they help train your gut to regulate bacteria naturally. They also reduce bloating and inflammation a bit more effectively. And so some of the best options are like the brand's Mega Spore Biotic. It's one of the most researched spore-based probiotics. And then the brand Just Thrive is great for like immune and gut barrier support. Again, I'm going to share some links. I'm not affiliated with any of these companies, but just some good ones out there that have a lot of research. And so that you would use that for about 30 to 60 days before moving into a yeast-based probiotic. And so the next 30 to 60 days, or whenever your bottle is gone, the yeast-based probiotic supports gut balance after antibiotics. It prevents yeast overgrowth and it fights off harmful bacteria. So what makes yeast-based probiotics different is that they don't get killed by antibiotics. They help fight off harmful bacteria and like candida overgrowth, and they support long-term gut balance and digestion. So again, I'm going to drop some links for some powerful yeast-based probiotics in this one as well. And so by this stage, your gut is really strong, right? It's stronger, it's getting better at regulating itself. And so after this cycle, you want to focus on the prebiotic foods instead of relying on probiotics long term. So again, each of these being about 30 to 60 days and 3 phases long. Okay, so it could be anywhere from 90 to, what is that? Math right now, right? 180 days. We don't want to go longer than that. Probiotics are not meant to be taken forever. It's really meant to help you regain your gut balance. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I think that I see is like we just take our probiotic willy-nilly thinking that that's like an everyday thing that we should be doing for prevention or to keep things moving, right? But it's just like any supplement. If you are not deficient in what that supplement is giving you, it's actually giving you the opposite effect. And so this really is more, again, back to like who really needs it, right? If you were just off that round of antibiotics, if you have like chronic bloating and diarrhea, like we don't all need to be on a probiotic all the time, okay? Like I really want to like stress this, that it is not necessarily, it's not like a multivitamin that you should be on every day, and we'll get into that in another training too. But this is like a get your gut back to normal and really focus on the food. But I want you to really focus on the food first to see if that helps before throwing your money at something you may or may not need, right? So yeah, don't take them forever. Once your gut bacteria is restored, focus on feeding them with fiber, those prebiotics. If your gut is healthy, you do not need to take a daily probiotic. If digestion issues return, go through another rotation of that cycle. Okay. So think of probiotics more like training wheels. Like once your gut is strong, you don't need them anymore. Okay. So, final takeaways on probiotics. So, never take probiotics during antibiotics. Wait until after. You're just wasting your money and you're probably going to be on your antibiotics longer because they're not working as efficiently either. We want to start with a low dose of a high CFU probiotic for 30 to 60 days to repopulate the bacteria. Again, slowly introducing. We want to rotate probiotic strains every 1 to 2 months. Okay, so we're going to go from that high CFU to a spore-based to a yeast-based. Then after this cycle, relying on prebiotic fiber from foods instead of supplements. Okay, I know that was like a fire hose of information. And like I said, I'm going to be putting together a guide so you kind of have a reference of all of these. It'll show that cycle. It'll give you some brand suggestions of the ones that I made so that you can look at that. But again, focus on food first. And I promise you, you're going to notice a huge difference by just incorporating that variety of fiber-rich carbohydrates into your diet and making sure there's a huge variety of them. So let me know what questions you have, what clarity you need. Keep an eye out for the guide that's going with this. Give me a day or two to put it all together. But this way you have the information at your fingertips. I encourage you to do your own research when it comes to brands. Again, just checking those ingredients. I'm going to add this to the guide, but like some things to look at on the bottle to make sure that they're like as clean and as potent as they say they are. And then I'll link even a couple of the actual supplements in the guide so that you can see which ones they are. Again, not affiliated with any of these brands, but just some of the better, more highly researched ones are what's going to be added. So let me know what questions you have and have a great rest of your evening.